All right, so first and foremost, before we start, somebody tell me something good you've accomplished in your business in the past week. I need at least one thing from each side of the room.
Took on a new listing yesterday.
Nice.
Great job.
Good.
Kelly's making us call her Spear today. Hard conversation. Like she's paddling.
Kelly's making us.
So what have you,
No, I think this is
what
good.
have you discovered in calling your sphere of influence?
It's awkward at first.
Mhm.
It's very awkward. Like with the people that I haven't talked to in like years, like it's weird calling them. But it's good to stay like top of mind. And
Yeah.
so that they know, because they're definitely the people that like you see on Facebook. They bought a house and you're like, I thought just being Facebook friends was like enough, but it's not. So you need to actually call them and talk to them.
Yeah. So how often, at a minimum, do you need to talk to your sphere? Like actually talk to them, not text them, like actually on the phone, talk to them.
Isn't it every like 6 months?
Once
Once a quarter.
Once a quarter. Yeah, 4 times a year. And if you do that, and I heard y'all talking about this a little bit, it's awkward because we haven't, and you said it, it's awkward because we haven't talked to them in a while, right? So we feel guilty for calling them in the purpose of securing business when we feel like internally we haven't earned the right to ask for that, right? Well, it's just simply because we're not doing our quarterly calls. If we did our quarterly calls, then it's more of a check-in, how's family, how's things like that, and you actually stay top of mind while we still want to ask for business, don't get me wrong. Just the phone call keeps you top of mind. And they remind, because everybody knows that, Julie, you're a realtor, right? Now it's just hearing your voice like, oh, there's Julie the realtor again.
And she cares about me.
Yeah, yep, and she's calling to check in, so I love that. All right, good, so we're gonna switch it up this week. I got some interesting data to look at. We're gonna look at some stuff on a national level. Of course, we'll look at our local levels like we always do. And also, why can I not add that? Oh, over here. We're also going to kind of do a comparison between the two. So we'll go ahead and dive in. If at any point you have any questions, or if you want to take a screenshot of the slide or something, or if I'm going too fast, just stop me and let me know. Okay. So first, looking at a national level. So this is the available inventory. And you can see this maroon line is 2024 versus this red line is 2023, and all these other lines are various other years. So what you basically are looking at is pre-pandemic, how much inventory did we carry on any given week on a national level? You see all those lines are up here. Then during the pandemic, of course, you all know inventory got really, really low and everything was selling.
I got it.
Do what?
Move this over because you can't see.
Can't see what?
This,
What?
the years.
Why is that one showing on that and all the other ones?
I don't know. That's okay.
There we go.
Thank you.
All right, I didn't realize our screens were showing two different things, but but if we look at current inventory, which is this maroon line, you can see inventory's up across the nation about 33%. So just keep that in mind as we work through the rest of these slides. Looking at the weekly new listings, so this is how many new listings. Now this graph, I will say, pull this from Housing Wire, you can see that in the bottom right-hand corner. This is just unsold listings. So this isn't every new listing hit the market. When they pull the data, they can only see what has newly been listed and hasn't gone pending yet. But even looking at that, you can see we fall right in the middle range in 2024, and that's actually 6% up from 2023. So as inventory is going up, naturally, you're going to get more listings. Just keep that in mind for now. Looking at home sales contracts pending, you can see looking at the red line is going to be our 2023 number, and then the maroon line is 2024. And these 2 years basically mirror each other. And we know what happened right here in 2022. That's right when the interest rates started spiking and everything started slowing down. Well, what we're starting to see is a little separation from 2023, mostly due to the interest rates, that little dip, and we've talked about that a lot over the last month. That dip in interest rates has kept the pending contracts going up, whereas seasonality really took over in 2023 and everything started going down. So this is good news, right? That the consumer is willing to buy.
Well, and I've been, like, this next 2 months is like prime time to take advantage because a lot of people will vacation and, you know, holidays and take off. Like, it's always a great time to take market share.
What is it that they say? I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's basically from Halloween until,
Like the week after New Year's.
yeah, no, it's longer than that. It's like from Halloween till like basically Valentine's Day, no real estate agents work. Like that, obviously that's not accurate because we're all working, but a good majority of people do take it easy during this time. And then looking at median price of new contracts, this was really interesting. That single family home prices are still up 5% over last year. So all we've been hearing is eventually home prices are going to stop rising, but on a national level, when we get into local numbers, you'll see on a local level, home prices are still continuing to increase. This is important because when you're making those calls to your sphere of influence, one of the great things that you can do is talk about what the value of their home is worth. And did you know that homes, and I'm going to give you some actual data based on where you live, but homes in your area have gone up X percent. Would you like to know what that means for you, right? Just as one example of a way you can use that as lead gen. So let's look at our local markets. Of course, all the graphics got sent out yesterday. So you should have all of these in your email, but feel free to take pictures and look at the things that you want to look at. Taking a deeper dive in the Owensboro market, a couple of key things that I'm seeing is days on market. While they did kind of have been going up, it looks like they're starting to hold steady in the lower 70s. We had that 1 week in the first week of October, but outside that, staying pretty steady in the lower 70s. Well, at the same time, our overall price continues to go up, and we're going to talk more about that here in just a second. Also want you to pay attention to inventory. 3 out of the last 4 weeks, we've been over 300 listings in MLS. And as you all remember, starting the year, we were in the lower 230s. So we've definitely seen an increase in inventory so far this year. Looking at Elizabethtown, again, you can get the graphic, and that is emailed out to you. Looking at their data, same thing. We're starting to see where days on market is holding pretty steady. We had a couple of weeks and months where they were up over 100, but for the most part, they're hanging out in the mid 90s. Prices do continue to rise. You can see starting at 227 for the median price all the way up to 263, while inventory is continuing to rise, also going from 530 at the beginning of the year all the way up to basically call it 700 homes for sale in Elizabethtown. Looking at Evansville, same things. You're seeing 1,500, almost 1,600 sales already this month. Days on market hanging out. We had a couple in the 50s, but for the most part, upper 40s, which is kind of where it's been all year. Honestly, Evansville hadn't switched much. And inventory has gone up pretty significantly from 782 homes listed all the way up to 1,072. Looking at our Henderson market, Henderson's a little bit unique in one sense. And that sense is if you look at their inventory, I mean, they held pretty steady in the 40s and 30s all the way up until basically May. And then starting during the summer, they did start to increase inventory. And there's a couple of months of data they didn't hear, but you can see now they're all the way up to 80 active listings. So keep that in mind when we look at this next chart here in a second. And then Louisville, same thing. Looking at 2,726 versus 1,882 active listings. So same theme, right? Like prices are going up and yet inventory is going up. So how does that compare when we're looking at a local versus national data? And this is one of the things, because I know a lot of you do a lot on social media, this is one of the things that you can talk about is here's the national numbers, and you can see those on the left-hand side. So inventory is up 33% on a national level. Nationally, there's 4.2 months worth of sales, and then the median price is up 5% versus January 1. Whereas if we look at our individual markets, and I'll use Owensboro, Owensboro inventory is up 28%, so it's kind of in line with what's going on the national level. Month supply is at 2.5, which tells us what? It's lower than a national level, so we have less supply. So that's something important for your sellers to know. Less supply means less competition. And then also median price has gone up 14.5%. And I ran this off of the October 1st numbers. Now, does that mean that I'm going to be really clear with this. Does that mean that somebody's house that was worth $200,000 is now worth $230,000? Not necessarily. Each home is unique. Each home depends on what updates have you done, things along this line. We're just taking raw data, looking at the median price, which everybody understands median is the middle of all the sales, and then comparing that year over year, month over month, and things like that. But it is a really great conversation starter. And if you flip it over to looking at, for example, Elizabethtown, oh, wrong screen. So their inventory is up 22%. However, median price has only gone up 5.2%. So there's a lot of local factors that can be playing in to why these things are happening. Biggest median price jumps are obviously Owensboro and Evansville, and the inventory being the lowest being Louisville and Evansville. So if you look across those, and if you would like some information on your unique market, what are the influencing factors that are contributing to some of these numbers, just give me a shout. I'll be glad to talk to you about it and help you with that. But it's really neat to see how we compare to the national level, because all we talk about is how insulated we are, but we're not as insulated as we used to be, right? What's happening on the national level, we're starting to see in our local markets. So just know that we're not that different than anywhere else. And if you look at our price per square foot, we're catching up to a lot of bigger markets. Like Atlanta, I watched for years, obviously being from there, I just had some interest, and they're at like 250 a square foot, but for years they were at 200. Well, anybody know what our average sales price in Owensboro is right now? And E-Town, because it's about the same.
Perfect.
Per foot, yeah.
140 is 130.
Yeah, it's like 170. It's
Yeah,
up
it's
there.
almost
Yeah,
like-
yeah. It's like, well, last time I pulled it was like 172. Yeah, so we're getting up there for sure. And that's just for average homes. That's not new homes. New home construction, you're right at 200 a square foot or more. A lot of flip homes are going for anywhere from 175 to 195. So just neat information. All right, let's talk mortgage rates. So mortgage rates last week, 6.64 in the top left for your conventional. FHA and VA were just a little bit over 6. Now, how many of y'all been paying attention to mortgage rates and what they've done over the last week? Anybody want to, if you think they've gone up, raise your hand. If you think they've gone down, raise your hand. Let's see. Okay, so y'all right. You're right. So they were 6.82 is the new conventional rate, with FHA ticking up ever so slightly to 6.25 and VA coming in at 6.25 as well. So why are they going up? Well, to be quite honest, nobody knows. I read 10 different articles about this last night preparing for this, trying to figure out what is the economic data that is causing these to go up. And there's a lot of guesses, but there's really nothing other than 10-year bonds have just been selling a lot, meaning people are probably just cashing out their 10-year bond, and a 10-year bond is directly tied to the mortgage rate from a lender's standpoint. But I did pull a couple of things, and if we look at the 30-year fixed mortgage rates, one thing that I want you to see in here is it's kind of like trading stocks. Like there's ceilings and then there's basements or bottoms, right? So for a long time in the beginning of the year, and this pulls back to basically January 1st, I think I did January 3rd, but for a long time, we were hoping rates never got above 7. They would go up above 7, they would dip, they would go above 7, then dip. And then all of a sudden, they spiked in the late spring and early summer. And then from there, it rode, and we were like, just get below 7. You can see if it get right at 7, go up, get right at 7 and go up. Then we had the big drop that happened, and now we're having another, they call this like a resistance factor. The question is, are we going to actually go up above 7? My guess is we will not.
No.
We'll probably go up a touch more. We're going to hit that little ceiling where the consumer's like, no, I'm out. I'm not going to keep getting loans at this rate, and then banks will kind of back down a little bit. But it's going to be really interesting to see
Next 30
what's
days.
going to happen over the next 30 days. And of course, I'll update you each week on what I'm seeing and what I'm predicting. But I just want y'all to kind of see what's going on and why it's happening. This just talks a little bit about it. Basically, it just says the same things that I've said. The key thing inside of here is that it's unlikely that any of the factors could exclusively drive the pace of weakness seen in rates today. There are limited examples of such factors teaming up to cause delays. Basically, what all that means, I'll save you the trouble of reading all that. It basically says every major economist is like, we don't really know why they're going back up, other than the overall sentiment of inflation might not be cooling at the rate that everybody thought it was. Because it's all tied to CPI, right? And I've heard me talk about that endlessly. But right now, with the latest labor market that we talked about last week, with it coming in stronger, more people are like, oh, maybe these inflation isn't going to cool or isn't going to stay around 2%. Combine that with what's the big thing that's going to happen in November this year?
We're gonna get the right person.
Well, you know, yeah, we're good. So we're gonna do it. We have the election. So there's fear of unknown regardless of what political party you're with, right? So a lot of that's just kind of holding. Yeah, there's only pay attention. Yeah, but a lot of that is what's holding back people or banks and institutions. And keep in mind, these are people that are sitting on $1 billion of assets. So whoever gets elected will affect what happens in multiple different markets, regardless of which side you support. And then another here, 2 takeaways that stand out to me from the current economic and financial picture. First, the economy is strong and stable. But second, there are many uncertainties still. The labor market, she goes on to talk about the real upsides to the risk of inflation, and basically saying, hey, we don't really know, but we aren't super comfortable with the direction that the economy is going based on the latest jobs reports. So good news is we don't expect the rates to really go up. If anything, the Fed's going to reduce rates, and we'll talk about that right here, which everybody remember what this is? This is called the dot plot, right? So this is the predictor of where everybody thinks, like the major players in the Fed meetings, where they think the rates are going to be at. And you can see, oops, I don't know why I'm trying to move that. There you go. You can see this is 2024, and basically everybody says we're going to be somewhere between 5 and 4.5, which is kind of where we're at. So then they say, okay, where do you expect them to go in 2025? This is really good news. They expect them to be, a majority of people think they'll hit between 3.5 and 3. So by the end of next year, they're basically predicting a full point reduction in the Fed main rate, which is going to ultimately trigger down to mortgage rates. We know that, right? So this is the good news that you all have coming. Just to be honest, the not so great news is it's not coming tomorrow, it's not coming this year, and it's probably not coming until next summer. So we got to buckle down and do the work that we know we need to do to help grow our businesses and call our sphere of influence, because that's the kick, right? What is it? We got be bold, communicate frequently, come from contribution, and most importantly, ask for business, right? Don't give up those principles. We're going to keep that up for a little. Actually, we should probably never take that down, but you're going to hear me continue to talk about it all the way through next spring, because now, as Kelly said earlier, is the prime time to be able to take that market share when everybody else is relaxing and taking it easy, because it gets dark at 4 o'clock.
It really is the easier time to take it today.
Yep. So, and then from there, obviously, the later outlook is they all expect it to stay somewhere in the 3 range for the prime rate. So again, all future news is looking good. The only question is how long before it gets there.
Hey, I do want to mention something, and
Yeah.
why I say that is I want y'all to think through how many realtors are in each of your boards. So I'm going to use Owensboro for example. How many do we have right now?
Like 270 something.
270 agents in the board.
That's it.
How many do you all think actually produce more than 2 contracts a year?
27.
Probably, if I had to guess, more than 2?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, probably 200.
Okay, more than 4.
Probably 150.
Okay, more than 5.
27.
I don't know. I think our break for us is, last time I looked, is like 6 or 7.
Is it
It's less
6 or
than
7?
100.
Okay.
I think. And I'd have to go back and look, but I think.
How about 10?
So
10 or
what's-
more deals?
10 or more deals.
So-
Probably
50?
40 to 50 would be a
Yes,
good
40 to
guess.
50. That's
Yeah.
a better. So everyone knows that it's the, what is it, Pareto rule, 80-20, right? 20% of the realtors actually do the entire business for the community, right? So hypothetically, if 80% of those people, what I'm telling you is that 80% are gonna go enjoy the holidays, right? That's great, because those 80% that produce under 10 units a year are gonna take off. It's just how it is. So now all that probably encompassed, let's see, we do 1,600 sales, 3,200 sales a year. So let's just say hypothetically that represented 1,000 properties.
Yeah.
So now you've got the 80% that's not working, so you can grab more market share. So it actually gets down, and then of the 20, there's a lot of agents that worked really hard this year that are probably gonna relax as well. So let's just say only 10% is actually doing the work, and there's how many more sales left for the year? Probably
I mean, with 2 months left,
3,200 divided by 12.
yeah, like 800 or something.
Yeah,
maybe?
so there's 800 sales left. See what I'm saying? Like, there's a huge opportunity. So I don't know the number off the top of my head. I just know that your likelihood of going under contract these next 3 months, if you choose to work, is going to dramatically increase. You have a better chance right now.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing is like, it doesn't mean you don't spend time with your family, that you don't enjoy the holidays.
Correct.
It's all about setting yourself up. So there's a really great book about this called Eat That Frog. Is that the right title? And it's all about doing the things that you might not necessarily want to do first. And that way you get it out when your energy's still up. So that's why we talk about lead gen, why we talk about lead gen in the morning in particular, is because if you can dedicate yourself now through the end of
We
January.
measured yesterday, it's only counting today, 19 working days left if you take out the holidays.
If you take out the weekends and holidays,
Mhm.
yeah, so 19 working days. So if you could just every morning wake up and for an hour or two, make how many ever calls that you need to make in order to hit your goals. And all of you have gone through business planning clinic with us, and we're getting ready to do some more with that. But just say between 10 and 20 calls to your sphere of influence, to other people who are motivated, willing, and able to buy and sell, then you'll be able to crush all your goals. Because everybody thinks, oh, it's the winter, I'm going to take off, I'm not going to do anything. Don't get in that mindset. Get in the mindset of, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to work for an hour or two, then I'm going to go enjoy my day and my time with my family and things like that. And there's so many opportunities to reach out to people and just ask how things are going. Hey, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? What are you doing for Halloween? Are you going to any costume parties? Like, there's so many entryways into conversation right now this time of year. We all need to take advantage of it, right?
Mhm.
All right, any questions about the stats, data, and different things, or just conversations that we just had before we go on to other events? All right, so office events, No Shave is going on for hurricane relief. That has actually started, and I owe another $50 because I woke up and shaved yesterday, didn't even think about it. So every time, if you take part in this, every time you shave, you owe $50. I got a feeling I'm going to be donating some decent amount of money. But we are still doing that. If you would like to sign up, just see Bobby Bella, or Eric Schwartz is actually the one putting on. He's getting set up for a broker open. But everybody's welcome to participate in that if you would like. Just a summary of our weekly events. This has been sent out to you, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because I want to talk about all the specific events themselves. Of course, you can always join us for this weekly meeting on Tuesdays. If you're not available, don't forget you do have the Zoom option. We are doing buyer presentations using Command. So this is our tech training for the week. Last week we went over listing presentations. This week we're going to go over buyer presentations and how do you create those. So if you don't have a buyer presentation, you're going to want to tune into this one because I'll show you how to make one in 30 minutes or less. And then training class. This says listing events. I've actually switched that. I've had 2 different people request for me to go over seller proceeds. So you've seen a calendar invite change this morning. We're going to be going over seller proceeds in our contracts class next week. So just wanted to make a note of that. Tomorrow. Then we have our sales meeting. It was originally scheduled for today due to some broker opens and some sales data stuff that we had to just confirm. We're going to push that back till tomorrow. So we want to make sure everybody can go out and do their broker open. So the sales meeting is going to be at noon tomorrow, and lunch will be provided. Our sponsor is going to bring in lunch for us. Shout out to Bobby for arranging a new sponsor in like 10 minutes for me.
Shout out to Denise for giving him that.
Oh, is that what you came from you? Okay. I didn't know where it came. All I know is he came to my office like, I got this covered. So
We got a call back, you can make it now. So now we're in a little contest.
Now you get 2 people.
Yeah.
You just tell them, you say,
Push it for
you
next
give
year.
them a contest and you say, whoever speaks the least wins.
Yeah, push them next week.
I got it. Yeah, we've got work there.
Yeah, so you can have one of them come into this for next week and talk for a minute and bring us breakfast.
Yeah.
Something like that.
There we go.
Full court press. Of course, this is the big month. Need everybody to show up big for this. Bobby did an amazing job getting us the best of the best. And we got Jason Abrams is going to hop in on a Zoom with us and talk to us about lead generation and the theme of the day. How do you communicate with your sphere of influence, right? So if this isn't on your calendar, I don't care what you got going on. If you, short of, emergencies and stuff like that, this is the one event I'm telling you do not want to miss. So make sure that you have it blocked off on your calendar already.
It'll be good.
Protect that time. Try to be somewhere where you can make notes. I'm telling you, every time I listen to Jason Abrams speak, it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or 30 minutes, I have 5 pages of notes. He's awesome.
Are we CST or
We are CST. Yeah, so 11 o'clock our time.
Amethyst.
Central?
We also have,
There are no stupid questions.
clarity is power, right?
We're glad you said that in front of us, let's just say
There
that.
are a few people in here that would think.
Bobby.
I'm
Yeah.
so used to being at 12, I'm glad she did that.
Yeah, so,
We're on Central Standard Time?
we have 3 broker opens, 2 of them being our agents. So Eric Schwartz is going right after this meeting. His broker open parts from 10 to 11, then doing public from 11 to 12. But I talked to him. He's like, honestly, you can show up anytime inside of that time frame. And then the Barnes is doing, y'all's is what, 11:30 to 1? Is that right? Yeah, 11:30 to 1 over at Fieldstone. And then looks like John is doing one on Booth Avenue, and hers is from 12 to 1. So Bobby, what do you want your order to be?
Eric, and then we'll go to her, and then
Then finish up at,
Eric, or Harris Group is not going till 11, FYI.
so we'll go at 11 o'clock and then go to Eric's at 11. Yeah, so, but that would work. If we'd wait and go to Eric's at 11, then we can jump over to the Barnes's.
Yeah.
Theirs starts at 11:30, hang out there for 15, 25 minutes, whatever, and then jump over to Jonas after that. So that actually works out pretty good. All right, so
Who's
for,
gonna come?
Yeah. All right. We gotta get back to